do hard shit. Do hard shit on purpose. So if you think about a diamond, how do we create diamonds? We create diamonds from pressure and fire. You have to be willing to put yourself in very uncomfortable positions to learn how to navigate through those positions. I'm sure many of you, have cold plunge or ice bath or cold showered. When you enter the cold plunge, your entire body, your system, specifically your nervous system, goes into fight or flight. The concept behind it is important, right? It's putting yourself in a position where you are, feeling tension, where, your mind is under a challenge, your body's being challenged even, and you have to do the work to regulate yourself, to bring yourself into a state where you can be comfortable, essentially, in discomfort. This is The Roxanne Show. Get ready. It's time to rise. Welcome back to another episode of The Roxanne Show. In today's solo-sode, I am going to give you 5 really powerful tips on how you can expand your resiliency. Why is this important? Because every single one of us needs to be resilient in our life. And if you're someone that's really striving for excellence in your life, you're not playing small, you're going for big, you really need to be more resilient or have stronger levels of resilience, because there are going to be endless challenges that are going to, attempt you to stop, to quit, to fall apart, to, submit, all of it, right? So the more resilient we can be in the face of those challenges, the more that we're able to not just conquer them, but to move forward with enthusiasm, and almost unscathed, right? Like it's having the ability to rise to the challenge, meet the hard, probably get your ass kicked at, moments, metaphorically speaking, right? But you get through it. And once you get on the other side, you recover, you get right back in the game, and you move forward almost as if nothing happened, except you're just a lot stronger for it. So you're really going to want to stick around to take in all 5, because every one of these tips that I share will help you. And maybe one is exactly what you needed to hear in this very moment of your life. Tip number 1 to strengthen your resilience is do hard shit. Do hard shit on purpose. That's a through line, right? So on different episodes, when I'm talking about how to develop more self-confidence, how to expand and develop more self-trust, and even in conversations on self-love, on living with more self-love, cultivating more self-love, you hear me say that same exact thing. You got to do hard shit, right? Seneca, an incredible philosopher, for those who don't know who Seneca is, has this quote that, a gem cannot be polished without friction, right? So if you think about a diamond, how do we create diamonds? We create diamonds from pressure and fire. You have to be willing to put yourself in very uncomfortable positions to learn how to navigate through those positions, and not just from a mental component. Certainly that is the biggest factor, but even from a nervous system factor, right? Like learning how to regulate your nervous system in super challenging moments. I mean, one of the greatest ways that we can do this is cold exposure. I'm sure many of you, have cold plunge or ice bath or cold showered, but for those of you who have not yet experienced it, when you enter the cold plunge, the ice bath, your entire body, your system, specifically your nervous system, goes into fight or flight, right? So this is like the shallow breathing, and we have to get ourselves to a place where we can calm our nervous system, right? And this is where breath work is really important and helps us to shift our nervous system into this place where we don't feel like we're fighting for our lives, right? And doing this, putting yourself in this kind of discomfort, is a really great way to advance your resiliency because it's fucking hard, right? And that's just one example, but the concept behind it is important, right? It's putting yourself in a position where you are, feeling tension, where, your mind is under a challenge, your body's being challenged even, and you have to do the work to regulate yourself, to bring yourself into a state where you can be comfortable, essentially, in discomfort. This is really important. And there's a lot of ways to do this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a cold plunge, although I really do, and I say this for, I'm not a doctor and, you got to be smart about how you do these things. But it is a really, really easy way to actually activate this first tip, which is doing hard shit. Another thing that you can think about doing to challenge yourself is doing something that challenges you cognitively. So if you think about public speaking, right, it's pretty uncomfortable for most people. It's one of the greatest fears out there. If you position yourself to do public speaking, it can even be an IG Live, which is a form of public speaking, but challenging yourself in this type of way will still stimulate your nervous system to where, you can start sweating and, the shallow breathing, and you train yourself through practice to regulate your physiological state under this kind of challenge and pressure. So it's really important. There's so many ways, pick and choose yours, of the hard things that you can and need to do to promote more resiliency. The whole idea here is that you don't become more resilient by staying comfortable. You have to be willing to put yourself in situations that are going to test you. You have to be willing to put yourself in situations that are going to test you. And the benefit of doing this on purpose is that you can put yourself in sort of controlled, challenging scenarios. One of my favorites is jujitsu. It's still a combative sport. Anything can go down, right? But when I'm training with, my brother who's a black belt, or some of my other jujitsu brothers who are, black belts, I'm in the safest, most dangerous scenario, right? They can challenge me at the highest level, but I'm always safe with them for the most part. Again, accidents can happen. Gratefully, none have so far in my experience. But the idea here is that, I'm going to be put into some uncomfortable positions, right? But I'm in this controlled environment where if I need to stop for some reason, I can. But the goal is to not stop and to find comfort in that discomfort. And for me, jiu-jitsu is one of the greatest ways to do this. So number one is do hard shit on purpose. Number two is get creative with your challenges. So here's the thing. The minute the hard thing that you've been doing gets easier, number one, that's awesome. But now it's time to switch things up. Because again, the whole goal is how do you continuously challenge yourself and put yourself in pressured scenarios, tense scenarios, mentally, physically. So you have to find ways for you to develop novel challenges. And it may take some time, You might acclimate to your cold plunge in a month or 2 months. But once you get to that point where it's really not that challenging for you, maybe in the initial when you first get in, but it's not this big, holy shit, I'm about to go on the cold plunge moment, then it's time to start thinking about what else can I be doing to promote more challenge for myself, right? And there's always going to be things that you can be doing. And again, I think if you can try to conceptualize this idea of putting yourself in hard positions that are more of a controlled state. So, I'm not asking you to go jump out of a plane, even though that technically could be a controlled state, right? You're doing it with somebody professional, whatever. But no, I'm just saying to you that if there's something that's accessible, some kind of challenge that's accessible to you, like the Instagram Live, like perhaps creating an event where you're actually going to speak in real life to people, or it's doing some new physical challenge. Maybe it's the sauna, maybe it's, learning a new language, something where you are being tested, where you have to persevere, where your levels of grit have to be activated. If you think about a foreign language and trying to, learn a foreign language, it's not easy and it could be super frustrating. But that frustration, even just from a cognitive place, when you keep pushing forward, so you're activating your grit to be able to keep going forward, to keep learning and not quit, that's a real test to your system, right? And this is going to put you in the position to become more resilient to this kind of stress. So number 2 is get creative with your challenges. The minute it starts to become normalized to you, sort of easy to you, you got to activate your creativity and look for some kind of new, a novel challenge that is going to test you on some or many levels. Number 3, have strong recovery practices in place. This is huge. If you don't recover from your challenges, from the stressful scenarios that you put yourself in, that you're facing, you don't increase your resilience. You actually tear it down. Resilience is really built in the recovery part, right? We go through the hard shit and it's in the recovery piece that we rebuild ourselves, right? That we allow ourselves to, it's like the battery gets filled up again, right? So if you're not recovering well, then you are certainly tearing down your resiliency. There are a lot of ways to recover. Sleep, for sure. High performance sleep, number 1. We all need it, period, end of story, right? So if your sleep is not optimal, then that would be the first place to invest your efforts into optimizing your sleep, high performance sleep. I did an incredible podcast with my friend, just a badass neuroscientist, neurophysiologist, Louisa Nicola, and we talked about high performance sleep. So definitely check out that episode with her if you've not already. Sleep is one thing. Food is also a form of recovery. A lot of people don't realize that, but nutrition is actually recovery. So when you go and you train and, you lifting weights, for example, or sprinting, these are, things that I'm doing every single week. If I'm not fueling my body afterwards, I'm literally just tearing down my muscles, my system, even my nervous system cannot recover, right? Carbohydrates actually help our nervous system recover. So it's really important to pay attention to that. Breath work absolutely is a strong recovery practice. Playful energy, right? So this could be just with yourself, doing something that you love to do. It could be dancing. It could be, any kind of activity where you just get to recharge your sense of joy and health, right? Any activity that's going to refill your happiness, your joy rather, and your health, like you feel strong again, is going to be a great recovery practice. Being out in nature, just being quiet, meditation. There's so many things that you could, sound bathing, so many things that you could do. But the point is, you definitely want to have an arsenal of recovery practices, because again, if you don't, then you're just burning the candle at both ends and you will burn out and you will become less resilient. And that's not what we want. And that is not what we want. So definitely build your recovery practice toolkit and put those practices into place, irrespective of also just, doing some out of your way challenge that I've been talking about. You want to have these recovery practices just for your day-to-day life. Every day we are facing some kind of challenge. I want you to face some challenges on purpose, but even if it's a day where you're not doing that, you're still likely going to be facing some challenges, right? So every day you want to have at least one of those recovery practices outside of sleep and nutrition to be active in your life. It really does make a difference. I will tell you in my own life, the reason why, one of the reasons, but I think the greatest reason truly, why I'm able to be so consistent with my challenges, meaning I consistently put myself in difficult testing scenarios. The reason, and also just operating my life, which provides all kinds of challenges in it. Being an entrepreneur is very challenging. The reason why I don't burn out, the reason why I'm able to meet those challenges with enthusiasm continually is because I have excellent recovery practices. I have strong boundaries around my recovery practices. I implement them every single day of my life. If I didn't recover well, there's no fucking way that I'd be able to live the life that I'm living and continuously put myself in challenging scenarios where I am not only expanding my resiliency, but I'm expanding my capacity for stress. I'm expanding my skills. I'm expanding my self-confidence, my self-trust, right? Because I'm putting myself in these situations and I'm actually moving myself through it. So I can't put enough stress around how important it is to have strong recovery practice. And the reason why it's also important to say that is because this is the piece that most people don't even want to look at. They're not thinking about. You know, everyone can think about, or even if you're not someone who's purposely putting yourself into challenging situations, I would argue that you are likely if you pay attention to me. But let's just say you're not that person. Let's just say you just found my channel and me, and you're like, I haven't done that yet. I'm so happy you found me. Here's the deal. If you are not executing recovery practices, then again, you are not going to be able to really experience what you're capable of, like your true potential in life, right? Because your true potential is going to be revealed when you're in challenged scenarios. So we need this resiliency to be so strong so that we can continue to uncover more of our potential. And the recovery aspect, the recovery practices are such a essential piece to help you move through these challenges, uncover more of your potential, expand yourself on every fucking level that matters to you. So 3, have strong recovery practices in place. 4, empower your self-talk. If you are telling yourself you can't do it, if you have a narrative that is putting you down in any way, you are going to live up to that narrative. If you have a narrative that's encouraging, that's building you up, that's supporting you to go through the hard thing, you will also live to that narrative. Words are energy. They're not just, a bunch of letters that we verbalize. No, they're actually, you can feel words. If I say, what if, like that, like what's going to what if this is going to, take us down this path that we don't want to go down? That what if is just, you can feel the energy in that. It's very kind of scary and, uncertain, and it's definitely lacking confidence and trust. If I say to you, what if we go down that path and we discover something that we never fucking thought we could discover, that we need? The energy of that what if is very different. It's built with curiosity, with inspiration, with like passion, right? You want that what if, right? And I wanted to share that because it just shows the difference of how words are actual energy, right? So it's important. I always say words cast spells. Words build worlds. If you want your inner world to be built with empowerment, encouragement, courage, conviction, confidence, boldness. If you want any of and all of that energy to be what your inner world is comprised of, then your language, your narrative, your self-talk needs to fuel it, needs to be on that level. When I'm in the thick of it, whatever that thickness is, it could be training, it could be facing something business related, it can be, managing personal life stresses, that are very real and, require my best to be present. Maybe it's holding space for my loved ones who are going through, certain challenging situations. The self-talk that I have is so vital in how I carry myself through those moments. And my self-talk sounds, at this point, I'm just so comfortable with talking to myself, and I do out loud all the time. And I think there's something really powerful around actually speaking to yourself out loud. So don't just have a, self-talk that's empowered, that's quiet. Definitely have that, but also get comfortable with speaking out loud to yourself. I will say to myself, we're built for this shit. We're built for this shit, Roxy. Roxanne, I love you. We got it. Let's go. You're capable. I'm capable. Sometimes I talk at myself though, like, Roxy, you got it. You're capable. I understand this is hard. Girl, I get you. Put my hand on my heart. I get you, but we got it, Roxanne. Let's go. This is my default language, and it's real, and it really does affect how I just function on, in general in my life, because it's so fluid for me. I don't have highs and low moments where it's like, sometimes I talk to myself this way and then other times, no, this is my default setting. And my goal is to have you create that to be your default setting too with your self-talk, and then watch what that does for you when you're facing any challenge. And in this case, when you want to build your resiliency, because you have to move through the challenge and then you have to recover from it. The compassionate component to your self-talk is so important too, because it's almost like the recovery part of your self-talk, right? When you can hold compassion for yourself, you are essentially telling yourself, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. And every single one of us needs and wants that, right? Usually it's, from the external. We want to be seen, heard, and felt, but we got to be able to give that to ourselves first and foremost, right? And you can. And your self-talk is the way that you do that. Journaling too. I will add this in because how can I not? I'm the queen of journaling. Fucking journaling is everything. But, taking your empowered talk to your journal and writing it out. I cannot tell you. I've done it my whole life, and it has helped me continually move through hard times. When I can read how I am literally coaching myself through a hard moment, cheerleading myself, loving myself through a hard moment, it makes a fucking difference. Not only in that moment, but also it's incredible to go back and to read how I showed up for myself in that moment. So I want you to show up for yourself like that too. I want you to realize that you can. I want you to get comfortable with holding compassion for yourself and letting that be woven into your self-talk. It is not weakness. It is not fucking weakness. It's the last thing of it. It's the furthest thing from weakness. So self-talk, keep it empowered, keep it compassionate, keep it internal and external, journal it, keep it consistent. Let yourself become so comfortable with hearing yourself encourage your entire fucking existence, period, but especially when you're moving through a hard moment in your life. Number 5, the closer. Surround yourself with more empowered and resilient individuals. This might not be easy for every one of you. Maybe you tend to have more people in your life that are less resilient and, don't have empowered self-talk or any of that. But if you can even just have one person in your life and navigate yourself, you have to be this person to be able to call in that person to create this kind of relationship. So that's important to say, right? You're not going to be the disempowered, negative person who's always complaining and it has no resiliency and then trying to call in someone who is the opposite. It doesn't work that way. Energy doesn't work. It's the laws of the universe. What you are is what you attract. So first things first, be that person. And if you are that person, do your best to keep yourself surrounded or engaged with those who are also playing on that level, right? If there's other people who are not on that level and, they're part of your life, maybe it's family or whatever, then, if it's family, it obviously can get a little challenging. But then it really just comes down to boundaries, right? We need to have strong boundaries, period, in our lives in a multitude of ways. There's all kinds of boundaries to be able to keep our well-being optimal, right? So I will tell you, everybody has moments of vulnerability, going through hard times, all that shit, right? Myself, obviously, very much included. The difference of the person who faces challenges with a growth mindset is going to sound something like, even if they're venting, they will share the details of the challenge, but it's never in this tone of, I'm being defeated right now. I don't know, there's nothing after this moment. There's always some kind of light. There's always some kind of angle, right? It's never ending, the story, the conversation is never ending on a negative. There's always some kind of positive to just, even if it's, I don't know what's coming next, but I know that I'll be all right. I know that I'll figure it out. That kind of language and mindset, that's what I'm talking about. More people like that. Because the truth is that, we really do become affected by those that we are most surrounded by and engaging with, right? So, if you have people in your life that tend to complain a lot, are very problem focused versus solution focused, then I would look in the mirror and have a good look at yourself. Because if that's what is mostly surrounding you, there's a good chance that you are operating as that person. But if it just happens that, maybe some people like that are family members, or maybe even people that you work with, and so you can't really, cut them off, essentially, then it's just, cultivating more friendships, getting, into communities. Perfect plug for my community, Queendom here. It's a empowered, incredible, creative, super safe, fun, inspired online community. It is free for women to join. So there's a link in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description box. It's on my website, roxannesaffaie.com. Just enter your information, fill out the form, a couple of questions, just so we can keep it really safe and, just in the energy that we want there. And then you'll be a part of Queendom. And there's a lot of women who come into Queendom and it's really for that exact reason. It's like they don't have as much of that kind of energy and support and relationships in their, life for whatever reason, but they have that. They're looking to build more of those relationships and essentially just be surrounded in that energy. And they get that in Queendom. I do a monthly call for my girls in Queendom, where you get to just show up and ask me any questions and get support from the women in the community. And we do fun shit like I'll pull tarot cards, and it just depends on what I'm feeling that day and what's happening in the call. But yeah, that was just a perfect insert to say that, listen, even if it's hard for you, maybe it's where you live And it's just hard to meet more growth-minded individuals because it could be a cultural thing. I don't know. There's endless reasons. But now I just gave you, there's no excuses because you can join Queendom. Literally, you have to be a woman, join Queendom, and you will start to put yourself in the environment with like-minded women who are more solution focused, who are more empowered, who are very encouraging and loving, right? So this is huge. This is going to definitely help you build resiliency. If we think about playful energy, which is, I've done a whole episode on this, but it's so important. It's like a core part of feminine energy, but playfulness is so recharging. It is an act of just pure joy, but it's also a recovery. It recovers your system, right? Even if you just have a big belly laugh moment with a friend, you're releasing dopamine in that moment. And you could have been just tired and, ready to just, quit working, but maybe, you and your coworker just saw a funny meme and all of a sudden you're both busting up laughing and you're getting all that dopamine. Well, with that dopamine comes more energy, right? And so now all of a sudden you're able to get back at work, you're focused, and it's like a reset, right? So playful energy is very, very important. It's part of the recovery practice, but I'm also inserting it here is when you can build relationships like in Queendom, with women. There's memes in there that are so funny and just, cultivate more of that playful energy too. So that, as we're all moving through our hard shit, we can do it with, laughter. We can do it with more grace. We can do it with more compassion, and we can do it with more resiliency that allows us to continually climb higher and further in our life, right? To uncover more of our potential, to really experience more of what we're capable of expressing in this life, of creating in this life. If we're not doing that, what the fuck are we doing? Nothing that I want to be doing. I want to be challenging myself until I'm out of here. Because with those challenges comes so much that matters to me. Ultimately, it's always showing me more about who I am. It's not what I do. It's who is Roxanne Saffaie. And I want to know her in every fucking capacity, in every fucking way that I possibly can to the end, right? Because I got one life with her. So I think, I don't know what happens after this, but I don't know. Hopefully I won't find out for a long time. So anyways, number 1, do hard shit, do it on purpose. Number 2, get creative with your challenges. The minute they start to become normal and easy, find something else that's novel and continue to challenge yourself. Number 3, have very strong recovery practices in place. Do them actively, regardless if you faced some out of your way challenge in the day or not. You're going to just need it to move through every day of your life. So activate your recovery practices. Number 4, empower your self-talk. Get into the best relationship with your self-talk, the audible and the inaudible. Also journal. Learn how to coach yourself. Learn how to love yourself through challenges. Be compassionate with yourself. Know how to encourage yourself during any fucking moment of your life, right? So empowered self-talk. Number 5, surround yourself with more resilient, growth-minded, empowered individuals. And again, if you are a woman who would like to join my online community of incredible women who are living from this frequency in Queendom, there is a link to join in the show notes. All right, you guys. Hey, thank you to everyone who has been leaving the new reviews, rating this podcast 5 stars. I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, and I speak from my whole team. You've literally helped the podcast grow. Like it keeps growing, but I'm seeing it actually growing. There's stats that are showing me, and it's so fucking meaningful to all of us, because I cannot say this enough. We work our ass off and it's a labor of love. So I don't need any fucking trophies for that. But knowing that it's actually the content that you're taking in is actually getting you to write comments like you're changing my life, and like making a difference, putting you in to action, not just passively listening and then moving on. I mean, that means more than I can say. So thank you so much to all of you who have been taking the time to do that. For those of you who would like to support the show on that level, there's a link to do that. It's very easy, very fast. It's in the show notes. You can rate and review the podcast. If you send a screen grab of the review that you leave to my DM, my personal Instagram profile, Roxy Look, also in the show notes, ROXYLOOK. Send it to me and my team will send you a beautiful digital journal as a gift. All right. Thank you so much. Keep fucking keeping on. Do your hard shit. Recover like a badass. And I'll see you on the next one. Queen, this is your call to greatness. If you are ready, and I mean truly ready, to shift anything in your outer experience, your outer reality, your finances, your health, your relationship, anything career related, anything spiritual, any shift that you want to make that has to do with your reality has to first start with shifting who you are, your self-identity. My Future Self digital course is your supportive blueprint that helps you achieve this. The inner shapes the outer. So when you get crystal clear on your core beliefs, your core values, your core desires, your high, hard goals, when you learn how to rewrite parts of your past that maybe don't feel so great and instead leverage those experiences to be fuel for you to expand and to grow, this is how you start to change the game behind the game of life, which all starts and ends with you. I've designed this course from my heart, soul, and experience to be a femininely fierce experience for you to uncover and connect with your most authentic self. And as a Future Self student, you get 3 months free membership access to Queendom. This is where we really get to connect. Queendom is such a rad, sacred, empowered space where every month you get a live Q&A call with me so we can connect and troubleshoot any area of your life that you would like, or just get some encouragement from me as well as the other queens in the community. This is a really sacred space, and I will see you in Queendom.